What would you put in your backpack if you had a new coaching engagement but could only take a limited number of items? Each episode, the Coach's Backpack looks at the multifaceted world of coaching and asks a new guest to tell us what they would take with them and why. Hi, I'm David Lowe, and this week we're taking a peek inside the backpack of Julia Geber from Brilliance Coaching. Welcome, Julia.
Hi, David. So lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you on the podcast. So how would you describe what you do, Julia, in under 20 words?
So I have a business which helps professional women step into their brilliance and get results, overcome obstacles, and find new empowering perspectives.
Thank you very much. You know the process here. You've been asked to coach a new client, but you're limited to what you can take with you. So you've got your essentials, you've got clothes, you've got a toothbrush. In addition, you can take one book, one tool, technique, concept, method, approach, or whatever you want to call it, one other item of your choice, plus one person from the past or the present to accompany you. So in whichever order you choose to take them, Julia, what and who would you take with you and why?
What an exciting adventure, a new coaching engagement. So for the book, I'm going to choose The Magician Way by William Whitecloud. And the reason why I'm choosing this book is because it's full of magic. It really helps you see that whatever you think the problem is not the problem. There is always a new perspective, and it tells you the laws of magic. So you actually find out about how focus creates your reality, how your thoughts and feelings are not real, and also how everybody has a heart. So when you actually communicate heart to heart with someone, new opportunities do show up.
Okay, so The Magician's Way by William Whitecloud. Is this a fiction book?
Yeah, it's a story which gives you the tools and techniques to actually learn magic and implement it in your own life. It's a book that actually it's both entertaining but very much educational. If you haven't read it yet, it's a must read. You will finish it in one day. It's so
okay.
well
I have not read it before. This is totally new. So tell me more about The Magician's Way.
Yes, actually, I heard about this book last year, exactly a year ago. And as soon as I read the book, I was hooked. I signed up to William's course and I completed his curriculum. And I'm going to become a certified coach in the next couple of weeks with him of natural success, because this coaching modality is built on our natural abilities to create what we want in our lives. It's not dependent on the process. It helps you focus on your end result and trust yourself that you have all what it takes to get where you need to go. The book actually starts with a golfing experience when the golf teacher teaches the student to focus on the outcome rather than focusing on what he does in the swing circle, and trust himself that whatever he focuses on, that's what he's going to hit. And the life of the person just changes from the morning to the evening. You wouldn't recognize what experiences and adventures he's going through when he's focusing on what he loves and not all the obstacles that he's facing. William claims that he based his book on the work of Robert Fritz, The Path of Least Resistance and Structural Coaching. So kind of rather than looking at the surface of what people say and the stories that we tell ourselves, to look at the structure under it and actually make the shifts in the underlying structure. And then once you change that, everything else flows differently. Like as you change, if there is a river, if you change the river bed, it will flow in a different direction. You don't have to discipline the river to go in another way. If the river bed is different, it automatically goes another way.
So it's an interesting choice of words, the magician's way. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I think what's going on with magic is that if you don't believe in it, if you haven't experienced it, it feels like it's really mysterious, and it feels like some people are in, others are out, and it creates a division between people who know the magic trick and people who don't. But actually, this book enables you to become one of the people who is in the in circle, who knows the tricks, who is able to use those tricks to actually create what they want. So yeah, it's an interesting word. I agree with you. And I think it's a really good one.
Okay. I'm sure everyone is going to go out and buy the book now, because I'm intrigued, certainly. Can you give us one nugget from the book?
Yeah, I think the first one, definitely, if you just do the first chapter about the golfing experience, that's going to be blowing your mind away. Probably the other bit that I would like to highlight is realizing that when our thoughts and feelings are telling us that something is dangerous, because the character is put in a couple of situations throughout the stories where he's completely outside his comfort zone. And just that reminder that your thoughts and feelings are actually not communicating to you necessarily the right information. And if you really tune into what is your truth, what is really what you would love to create, you can really just accept what is going on for you, but don't act on your thoughts and feelings, but rather follow your heart. I think for me, that heart to heart communication, when the character convinces people to do things they didn't originally want to do, by being honest and ask directly what he wanted, but at a heart level, completely changed the outcome.
I love this format of the story with the message behind it. One thing that can be frustrating is that you read it and you've got to kind of decipher the messages. So it sounds like The Magician's Way, the message is pretty clear in that, but then there's also a follow-up course.
You can take a course. You can also read the book, which is called Natural Success, which has more of the techniques, but it's not written in such a fun way how the Magician Way is. So I would say if you read The Magician Way, you would want to have that coaching session with me, because you would know that I can offer you something that might be interesting and might be considered magical right now in your life. But after the coaching session, you will know exactly how it
Excellent.
happens.
Okay. All right. Well, look, we should move on. We may come back to William Whitecloud's Magician's Way, but what else are you putting in your backpack?
So, for a method of coaching, I will be taking clarity coaching with me, and that's the modality that I'm an expert in. I'm working with Jamie Smart on improving this skill set, and I love the effectiveness of clarity coaching, because once you have clarity on what truly matters to you, things seem to be working much easier. And this modality is also based on uh, Fritz's path of least resistance structural coaching, where you are going deep under the surface. And what I particularly enjoy in this modality is using the power of metaphors and helping people describe their current state and the state that they want to get to in a way that is deeply meaningful to them. I personally love working with metaphors, and that's something that I find extremely empowering for people. They don't have to tell the stories, they don't have to give me the details. It's like, what is it like? How does it feel? What is that experience? And some of the most wonderful transformations happen when we access what is before the language that that we acquired when we were growing up. And it actually really speaks to our reptilian brain. It talks to those really old patterns within us. And some of these transformations that I experienced was people transforming from caterpillars to chrysalises and butterflies, or from identifying with a twig who is being scared and brittle to becoming the woodland, which is nurtured and full of energy. So that's a modality and the type of bits that I would love to take with me, because it's sort of magical and it creates transformations in a very gentle way.
Okay. So I'm not an expert. What I've heard is it's a lot about creativity.
It's actually about truth and creativity. So I think it always starts with honesty, like really understanding who you are and how your experience is created. And to get there, you just start getting in touch with what's really going on for you. Like, where are you really coming from? What is really going on? And once you get in touch with your truth, these kind of pictures, metaphors automatically appear without forcing them. It's actually getting people into an insight-friendly space where they get in touch with the deeper meanings that have been always there. So there is a strong belief in this coaching modality that clients already have everything what they need. It's all there, it's all within. It's just helping them to have access to their greatness, to their brilliance, which is within. And that happens through connection, first of all, understanding, empathy. And once we get there, they can describe their experiences in more meaningful ways to them, and they very often, not all the time. So metaphor is not doesn't always happen for everybody, but very often it it does turn into metaphors and images, deeper understandings, which suddenly creates this light bulb moment, and you can't really unsee what you have seen in those moments, and you just start getting a deeper understanding of what's really going on for you.
Okay. So it's going in the category of the whole being rather than achieving some kind of goal or, I can't think what's the word, or outcome.
Exactly. So usually coaches come for sessions because they want this particular outcome, which is, we all want that. But very often we get in our own ways by how we show up, and actually seeing our own role, how we get in our own ways, being the main reason that we are not getting our outcomes is usually the powerful shift that people experience. And once we claim our responsibility for how we get in our own ways, and the cogs start turning, and we realize that, we start seeing the solution as well, how to get out of our own ways and be the person who can get those results, become the person who actually not just these results are achievable, but inevitable.
So it goes in with the humanistic approaches like existentialism and gestalt and etc.
Yeah.
But we're definitely here now. Well, actually, I suppose if there are people listening, we're not here now because we're here now, but we're not here now when anyone else is listening.
Yeah, that's right. And it feels like we were there, right? So we create our own experience. And it seems like we are having this conversation right now in this moment, just purely by your imagination. We are very creative. And sometimes we don't give credit to ourselves how creative we are, how we create our own experience moment to moment. And we believe that it's real. And we believe we can't create it any other ways. And in a coaching session, one of the biggest realization is how much power we have over the experiences created.
So what else is going in your backpack? You've got the extra item and the person.
Yeah, so for a person, I would like to take Marshall Rosenberg, who is the founder of Nonviolent Communication. Nonviolent communication is very close to my heart because I used to be a person who didn't really like dealing with feelings, emotions, and really loved avoiding kind of tough conversations. And since I learned and I practice NVC, like my life drastically has changed. Like getting in touch with who I am, getting in touch how I feel, and expressing what I need in the moment, both from myself and from others, is a huge game changer. And even just learning to listen to the signals of my body, noticing the signals of other people and tuning in with very, very simple exercise, but it's not as easy to do when we are always rushing and we always have things to do and we struggle to slow down. But Marshall is very funny too. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he has his YouTube videos up online. And he's just how he explains the opportunities we have when we actually tune into ourselves, we name our feelings, we express what we need in the moment is really huge. And in a journey, in a coaching journey, it's so important that we have compassion for ourselves and others, and we are okay with that. And communicating that to the client that, we are in it together, we both have feelings, and that's okay. And we all have universal needs. And at the level of needs, we are all human and we all have the same needs. We always can find a common ground beneath any conflict. And once you recognize that, your partner, your child, your mom is actually just having human needs that they are expressing, you have awful lot of understanding for others. And once you have that understanding, you can find a solution.
So Marshall Rosenberg, NVC. For anyone who's not come across non-violent communication, can you give us a summary?
Absolutely. So Marshall Rosenberg says that everything any human being says is either a please or a thank you. So if somebody is angry and demanding, that's a please for connection. And when somebody is in a good mood and helpful and nice, that's a thank you for being alive. And everything in life is really around, how we express ourselves, either being loving, kind, and compassionate, and together with the word, feeling ourselves in a good space, or we might be demanding and being in this needy place. And the difference is, are our needs met or not? So any unresourceful states in our lives are the results of our needs not being met. While when we are happy and joyful, our needs have been met. So if we just want to understand what's going on for us, we just have to tune into how do we feel, what's going on. If this feeling is unresourceful, then what is that need that is not being met? And it's simply just guessing works brilliantly. Let's say if I'm sad, it's like, am I sad because I'm needing company? Am I sad because I'm needing some appreciation? Is it because I'm needing some competence? And just going through these questions, like what is the need beyond, we figure out like what's really going on, like what's missing from my life. And once we identify it as a need and not a strategy, so not that, my friends didn't invite me to the cinema, it's like, no, I'm needing company. I can find a solution because I can, get company around me. I can't force my friend to invite me to the cinema, but I can find people who I can be around. So it creates a new perspective where I can get my needs met in a different way that makes me feel happy, but doesn't depend on the circumstances or what other people do. And there's beautiful variations of how you express your own needs, how you receive other people's needs. And I would really recommend, Marshall has a video of a workshop which is 3 or 4 hours long on YouTube, to have a quick peek at it. And if you like it, after the first 20 minutes, you probably will know if this is something that can give you something in life. In this video, for me, the most powerful part is where a husband and wife have an unreconcilable conflict that has been going on for many years, and he manages to reconcile that conflict in half an hour. And this nonviolent communication is used in conflict negotiations, helping to end wars, people coming together and finding ways to actually help each other to reconcile conflicts which are unreconcilable on the surface. But once the needs are identified and they are acknowledged by the other party, they are able to see new possibilities.
That is one of the criticisms I believe of it. Again, I'm not an expert on NVC, but if someone is not receptive to using it, and obviously this goes with a lot of coaching approaches, that it can be very difficult to bring in, right? It's that kind of eye rolling, sarcasm, resistance.
Yeah, I totally get that. And this is something that it does happen if we use the technique without the mindset. So if we use the words that, this is NVC and it doesn't work, it's not about the word, it's the mindset. And actually, have we had the connection? So the main principle in NVC is connection before correction. If we have the connection, this is going to work, and then it doesn't matter what I say. If we are connected, we are the same wavelength, we will have a great conversation. If I'm coming at you and say, David, you should be doing this differently. And anyway, it doesn't matter what words I'm using. I can saying it with the nicest words, because we communicate not with our words. We are communicating with our whole spirit. And people are picking up those signals which are not in the words, and then it doesn't work. However, maybe once you have this consciousness and you kind of see these other pictures, you see the bigger picture and you connect at heart level, then the words automatically flow in a way that it's actually going to get you the results. And this is referring back to the magician way to a degree. It's not about the words, it's not about the technique. Are you focusing on the process of using MVC? Or are you focusing on your outcome, the humanity in the other person, and the truth in that present moment, which might be that this is not the right moment for us to talk, or I didn't ask you for permission that we will be having this conversation. You will notice that when you are coming from your heart. We don't really notice that when we just want to get our stuff done.
And I'm aware I just did exactly what people do when I'm teaching things about coaching is that you mentioned the word conflict, and I immediately jumped, well, we both did, immediately jumped to war based conflict. We've got to remember we're talking about coaching here. We're not bringing out tools that are for Middle Eastern conflict that you mentioned, for example. Just going back to something you said earlier, because I'm very much in the same boat. As a child, and this is no criticism of any of my family, as a child, we didn't really demonstrate emotions particularly. It wasn't something, and maybe it's a cultural thing as well, but it was only later on in life that I really started to show emotions more. And I think you were saying the same kind of thing.
Exactly. Emotions, they are dangerous, right? So it seemed very wise for any child to try to disguise them, or especially professional situations. You definitely don't want to expose yourself to talk about emotions. It doesn't feel appropriate. And I think that power of vulnerability when you can actually acknowledge what's going on for you. And I think this is, again, it's not about talking about it and, it's not about broadcasting to people, it's the acknowledgement piece. When you can acknowledge it for yourself that, yeah, this is going on for me. And then you can express it in a way, again, in your body language, that it's not that I'm demanding you to change. It's like, I'm really feeling quite bad about this, and would love to make this more wonderful for both of us, and I'm not sure how. Can you help me out with this? And that sort of honest expression of where I'm coming from is that creates bridges where there were divides.
Thank you. So, final item. It could be anything of any sort. What the heck is it going to be, Julia?
Well, this is not even a question. So the final item is love and appreciation. And I think that has been pretty much in everything beforehand, because when we have love and appreciation for each other, then, everything becomes easier, everything is more effortless. And this is something I noticed. There was a leader, a very respected leader, and she just said, I really love my team. I love these people I'm working with. And suddenly I realized, like, that makes a difference, that she has a passion for really seeing the people in the team. It's not just about getting the result, it's about loving the people that you work with. And they feel that love and they really want to return it. And things are more fun, easier, and we are not divided, right? It's not like, oh, I have to like win, or I have to convince, I have to change, I have to get your transformation. It's like, no, we are here and we are like, yeah, I have appreciation and love for whatever is coming up. The world is a different place when you are in love, isn't it? Everybody would say that. When you are in love, do you have any problems in life? No.
Now, I've not been a stickler for the rules throughout any of the series of this, but is love and appreciation one item or two?
Well, I think love is probably a bigger piece, and appreciation is probably an expression of it. I just didn't want you to get confused with like romantic love. So I kind of wanted to clarify what love.
It's a good job. Yes. Who knows where I'd have gone, Julia, if you just said love.
Yeah, we never know with you, David.
It's a fair point. Okay, love and appreciation. Good. You've got your book, The Magician's Way, William Whitecloud. You've got Clarity Coaching. You've got Love and Appreciation. And you've got Marshall. Tell me how this fits in with your Brilliance Coaching.
Yeah, so these are actually representing the three pillars of Brilliance Coaching, which is clarity. So, knowing what you want and being clarity on who you are. And the second pillar is compassion, which is very much having that NVC consciousness and love and appreciation for life and whatever is there in front of you. And the third pillar is creation, which is all the creative principles that you can find out about in the Magician Way. So you can create your heart's desire and live the life you always wanted to live.
So clarity, compassion, creation.
That's right.
So these three C's, where did they come from?
So I created this as the three main elements that made a huge difference in my life. And I truly believe that this makes a difference in my clients' lives as well. So in my coaching program, I'm using these three main components to lead the clients through the different elements. However, we can be flexible. So some people might like to delve deeper in one element or the other one. At the same time, I do believe that these three together does the magic. And referring back and going deeper in the three pillars really enables you to grow beyond what you have ever imagined and step into your true potential. At least that's happened to me. In my past, I used to be in finance. I had a boring, predictable, very much, steady kind of career within finance. And when I realized that this is not quite what I want, this is not enough, there is not really any more progress here. And I started stepping outside my comfort zone and started discovering what else is out there. And magic started happening, started unfolding once I had the courage to actually go after what I truly loved. And since then, I'm just having the time of my life, and I'm really passionate about other people discovering these key principles, key ways of empowering themselves to step into their true potential.
Great. So we should move on, I'm afraid. You've packed your backpack, but sometimes you may get assistance. I don't know if your kids are helping you pack sometimes. What would it be that you would want to make sure is not going in your backpack?
Yeah, so we definitely have to be careful with the kids. I think what they might want to sneak in that I definitely don't want to come with me is judgment. Judging myself and, beating myself up if I'm not doing things quite as well as I wanted to, or, blaming others and judging others, which is never really going to lead us anywhere. So I really want to leave judgment out.
I'm going to challenge you on this. Is judgment not part of you deciding that you are happy in what you've got? I suppose awareness. Does it come with awareness? Is judgment and awareness two parts of the same thing?
I love that. I think awareness is probably the bridge. So, you notice the judgment, and probably it is, it does come up. You can't not have it. But once you have the awareness and you decide not to act on it, not to go with that, not to influence your actual behavior by the judgments, but actually love what is, you accept reality, but you create still from love, from the place of love, and not from the place of judgment.
Okay, we'll make sure that doesn't go in your backpack then. I have one final question, which is where do you hope that you are or are not heading on this fictional coaching gig that you have?
So I definitely don't want to get into Storyland. And what I mean by Storyland, when people go around telling the same story and just, staying on the surface, keeping it safe and not facing into the real deep stuff. And it's easy to go into Storyland. It's so easy where, you just like say the same stuff that you have been telling yourself and others for 20 years because it's so comfortable. I don't want to go there. That's not a very good use of any of our times. That's something to be kept for the coffee shop. But in a coaching session, I really like going deep.
Okay. If we were to make a cartoon of Storyland, what would it look like?
Oh, I love that. I mean, it's not just a cartoon. This is really the place like a soap opera, right? So, all the stuff is happening, but really nothing is happening. Like there is lots of conflict, there is lots of like judging, blaming, speaking behind each other's back, and it's always the other person's fault, clearly. It's always they are getting wrong. You're always a victim and of the circumstances, and you're helpless and powerless, and it's like all the crazy stuff is happening all around you, spinning without any chance to get out of it. So it's that sort of a cartoon when the character gets banged in the head and Tom and Jerry sort of running around in circles and it's always the same. It's funny, but how many times can you watch that?
It's a fair point. I haven't seen Tom and Jerry on the TV for a long time. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Julia, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and what you would put in your backpack. Now, if people would like to know more about your coaching, where can they go?
So the best place to go is my website, www.brilliancecoaching.co. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and my name is Julia G Coaching on those platforms. And I would love to connect with people who are interested in this sort of magical brilliance coaching, helping them to step into their brilliance.
So, Julia, thank you very much for being a guest on the Coach's Backpack.
Thank you so much, David, for this truly magical journey. These questions are powerful. And I have to say, I didn't really know where we were going because, yeah, we just left it to magic and it just took care of itself, didn't it? Thank you so much for the invitation.
So all I've got to say is thank you for joining us on this episode of The Coach's Backpack. If you would like extra goodies such as free tools, offers, further info about our guests, and maybe even the odd peek inside their actual backpack, sign up to our mailing list at thecoachesbackpack.com. And don't forget to follow the podcast too.